Welcome to In the Blue. This is our Facebook Live. We've got a great show for you today. If you are a business or practice owner, you know what it's like to have to deal with problems. We confront them and face them every day. And as good as we try to start our day and start going through our day, there's just always a wrench that gets thrown into the schedule, whether that's problems with teams or patients or financial issues coming up. And we've got a really special guest today because she's going to take us through how to maintain our best version of ourselves when confronted with those issues. And as we all know, our capacity to expand and scale our practices has everything to do with how well you can do this one thing. And Deb's going to take us through that. She's coming to us from California today. She's got a massive background of decades of consulting in the dental industry. Not to give away her age, but she is a black belt in this. So Deb, welcome to the show. Debbie Castagna, we're so grateful to have you with us today.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. And that was like the perfect introduction for the topic that we have today. So thanks a lot, guys.
Great having you here. You betcha.
Thanks, Joseph.
Joseph, you've known Debbie for a while and are responsible for getting her on our show, which we are so lucky, and I'm excited for our listeners to do that. How did you two first meet?
Oh my gosh, it would have been at least 7 years ago, with another technology that Deborah was so masterful at. And we travel in the same pack with consultants that we know and love. And it's a big, wonderful family, isn't it, Deborah?
That's for sure. Absolutely. And you've always been so great and so supportive, Joseph. And I appreciate that. So thanks so much.
It's great to have you here. It really is.
Oh, awesome. Well, what I want to know is, did you guys think about how you wanted to be today?
That's a good question. I try and wake up thinking I need to be my best self, and be present. And then it tends to go sideways depending on the day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I was thinking about that, and I try to think about that concept every day. And it wasn't a concept that I came up with myself, but my own coach, Mary Fox, who's just this lovely, brilliant, helpful woman. When I'd find myself either feeling overwhelmed by work or everything that was on my to-do list, she helped me to understand the importance of shifting your focus from not all of those things that you have to do, but how should I be, while I'm doing those things or interacting with family or interacting with clients. And when we have a consciousness about that, it can make all the difference in the world in terms of successful team relationships or the relationships we have with our patients. And what I find is that's really a muscle that you need to develop, because so often we're in do mode, and being in do mode without that thought about what's required of me. At this point, do I need to be courageous during this conversation with this team member? Do I need to be clear when I'm speaking with this patient about this treatment need? So really giving yourself that moment to consider those things can be so helpful. And, this whole idea of using this as a topic with the doctors and team members that I work with came up with during a conversation that I had with the California Dental Association about a program that I'm going to be giving in the fall. And we were talking about the fact that, I'm basically known for lecturing on numbers and system and communication, but I'd had several recent interactions with new dentists, and this program is going to be for new dentists. And some of them were getting sort of balled up during treatment plan presentations. And some of their issues were around being decisive. The patient is relying on them for an expert diagnosis and some help with which way to go. So we decided that the topic would be how to be, how to be, bringing the pragmatic piece of being your best self during a new patient exam or anything else. So it's an important topic.
Huh. I've heard the adage being not forgetting that we are human beings versus human doings.
Exactly. It's perfect.
That helps remind me that we are more than just doers.
Yes.
And it's so easy for someone like a professional to get caught up in all the stuff they have to do.
Exactly. Absolutely. I remember. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joseph.
No, I was just going to say, help us with the context around how you remember of being a being, how to be. What does that mean?
It reminds me, as I was thinking about this, a situation that I was in during a practice analysis. And one of the things that I like to do is to go in and observe the doctor and the team in all of their interactions, from the morning huddle till the way they say goodbye at the end of the day. And I always arrive, of course, with plenty of time, get to know the staff a little bit, get to understand the day ahead of us. And my intention is to have the team eventually see me as an ally, there to help. So I'm considerate of my demeanor, and from everything to how I look to how I present myself to them. Mm-hmm. And on this particular day, the woman at the front desk told me that the doctor was frustrated by the schedule for the day that he was coming in. And she said, I have no idea what we're going to be facing, but he doesn't like a day like this. So he arrived late. We're all assembled there, ready for the huddle. And he came in and he just launched into a tirade, really, about how the schedule looked and his frustration around it. And it's like, wow. And I watched the staff go from, the sideways glances, like, here we go again, to embarrassment, to all sorts of things. And I had to talk with him after about because there was some complaints that he had about his team. And I said, come on, do you expect this to be a terrific, productive day when what you're showing is frustration versus, hey, I've got a group of talented people here. And so the day is scheduled this way, but we're going to put on our afterburners. We're going to put our heads together and we're going to strategize on how to make it the best day possible. I mean, what a difference that could make in the tone that's set in the ultimate success of the day. Yeah. So discussing that context of shifting, how you're going to approach that, knowing what the schedule looked like the night before. Did this behavior help? No, obviously not.
I love the word I've heard you use before of the mindset, changing the mindset. And there's a lot of new study related to, changing your mindset. I love that.
And doesn't it make a difference?
Big difference.
Big difference.
I'm going to chime in just from a doctor's perspective, because as our audience knows, I've been in practice for a couple of decades now, and we have a lot of new doctors who listen to the show. Right. And one of the most powerful things you've touched point on is that if the doctor shows up late, if the doctor doesn't show up with the right mindset, how can you expect to lead the discussion of problem solving? And we had a really great office manager in my early days. We were involved in some of these concepts and learning, and she made a decision that she was going to be the first one to the office, and anybody who showed up without the right mindset, meaning that they showed up and they're tired, or they showed up and they're complaining, that she would not let them into the building. She would ask them, please go take a walk around the building, take a few deep breaths, come back when you are ready to be here and make a difference for our patients. And it changed everything. It was incredible. And that included the doctor. If we showed up with poor energy, we gave her permission to talk to us in a way that, yes, I'm the boss, but I'm giving you permission to make sure I show up with my game face, and vice versa. I will do the same for you.
Good point.
You know what I love about that too is the courage that it takes for somebody to say, look, this is the culture that we've established in this practice, and we are not going to let, you know, the traffic or whatever it was that might have made you grumpy when you walked through the door to get in the way. And so many, this is what I love about people who will, you know, to borrow Sheryl Sandberg's phrase of leaning into that and not worrying about, am I going to offend this doctor, or am I going to tick off this team member? Because I said culture is more important. The patient's experience, our experience, is more important than that behavior. So that was brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, it would have been great for that team to have been empowered. The example that you gave, Debbie, empowered to say to the doctor, clearly you need to take a walk. This is not our plan.
And he's already late, and now we're running behind. I mean, it's, yeah, you've got to, and this is what's so key in training for these moments. We know these moments are going to come. So here's how we're going to handle them. And that way, when we find ourselves in those situations, I think that's the point you're touching on, is have a plan. Like, what mind frame are we going to get ourselves into when we find this, so that we are open to the universe's best solutions on how to handle these busy days.
Absolutely. And, you know, the other thing is, what I find is when this concept comes up with some of the doctors and team members I work with, is it sounds a little airy. You know, what does this have to do with meeting production goals? What is this? Yeah. And it has almost everything to do with it, because you can either force those numbers, or you can be confident and you can be gracious, or whatever is necessary right now. And this can sound like a little California airy stuff, but when you are in a flow, you are going to be more productive. You have the opportunity to be more successful. So yes, you know, when you are in your team meetings and you're seeing that you're not getting a desired outcome, whether it's more new patients or better case acceptance, and we have to be objective and look at how we present during those times to be able to cultivate that within the practice. Mm-hmm. And it's not so easy to look. You know, I mean, in my own coaching, I've had to look interpersonally and see how I was getting in my own way. And once we've got that concept, then things really start to roll and teams start to gel and gets better.
Debbie, I can see how that really applies to a morning meeting. I mean, for sure. Yeah. What would you suggest are the actionable steps for infusing that into a morning meeting?
What's making me laugh is when you said morning meeting, I'm thinking about a specific morning meeting that I was at, not the other one that I just mentioned, but at this morning meeting, there was a man's name on the schedule, and everyone on the team said, oh my gosh, if he shows up, it'd be a miracle. I mean, the guy's always late. The guy never showed, whatever. So, you know, the doctor, where we finished the huddle, the man was late within the first 10 minutes. Donna was on the phone calling to see where he is. He said, I'm right around the corner. I'll be there any minute. And the doctor said, oh my gosh, I knew it. We knew it. He's never late, or he's never on time, blah, blah, blah. Well, it took 10 more minutes before this guy to walk through the door and check in. And when he checked in, he was harried, and, you know, Donna jumped up, and the doctor and I were literally standing at the front desk. The patient sees him and said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And what do you think the doctor said?
Oh.
When the patient said, I'm sorry, I'm late. What the doctor said was, oh, that's okay. Oh, that's okay. Come on back. Let's get going. It's like,
that is so common.
What? It is so common.
Reinforcing the very behavior that you never wanted to see.
So for our new doctors, please give us the magic phrase.
Okay, so for your new doctors, and this was actually a new doctor. You know, it was a partnership with these guys.
Yeah.
So the coaching that I gave him after was, you know, I'm glad we're able to get you in today. And then you're going to say something like, well, we got to stop meeting like this. You know, we want to make sure that when you're here, we've got the time to be able to take care of you in the best possible way.
Yeah.
You know,
I want to give you my best work in order to do that.
Best. Right. And I don't want to be punitive. I don't want to shame the guy, but it's like, come on, this stuff's got to stop. And it's okay to say that. So at the huddle, it's the plan. If he's late, how are we going to handle it this time?
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to say if he does show up and he shows up on time? Are we going to say, hey, we know that it's been challenging for you to get here in the past. Thanks so much for being here at 9. You know, you think about how am I going to educate, really? How am I going to educate in this moment to be able to have a better chance of getting the behavior that I'm looking for?
Because at that point, it's a critical re-education opportunity because you haven't been able to enforce that. You haven't been able to get his attention up till now.
Exactly.
So when he walks in on time, we can reinforce it. Or if he's late, what do we say that can help re-educate? And that makes all the difference in the world with a patient that just doesn't get it yet.
Yes. And I'm telling you, I think the reason why so many struggle with this concept is because they have a fear about, am I going to offend this person? Are they going to give us a lousy Yelp review? You know, all of the things that we worry about versus, you know, being clear about our intention is to help you to become healthy, whatever that intention is. And we've got to be courageous about having those difficult conversations.
That's a great example of mindset. That's good.
Yeah, don't let the fear of one bad apple spoil the rest of your crop.
That's for sure. And that happens all the time.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And obviously someone who, while we're on that subject, let's say someone comes in 15 minutes late, where it really jeopardizes whether or not we can even deliver the care that they need.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think at that point, it's also appropriate to say, oh, Mr. Jones, we're glad you're here, but let's check and see whether or not it's still possible to see you given what we had scheduled. Because we needed all of that time, every precious minute, to deliver what you were in need of today, so that they know right up front that there's a reason why schedule them at a certain time.
I remember teaching this concept with a team, and we often, after they learn the practical part of this, we go into role playing, and I really want it to be experiential for the doctor and team members. So we were role playing just that situation. The doctor was going to pretend that he was a late patient and he was going to be grumpy. So we went to the step of having him outside the door and coming in and rushing in. And so I taught was that when the woman at the front desk, Margaret, that she would stand, that she would show her concern, that she would express, you know, what you just said, Joseph, actually. And what was really adorable was the doctor runs in and she stood up and she said, oh my gosh, Dr. Ellington, we were so concerned about you. Your appointment was 9:15, everything okay? And he said, Deb, I was planning on sort of giving her a bad time and seeing how she might handle it.
Yeah.
But I was completely disarmed when she stood and she showed her concern and she followed the steps of, you know, I need to make sure that Dr. Ellington has the time to be, and it was like bingo. I mean, it was exactly what I wanted them to see could happen when you are not saying, where the heck have you been? But, oh my gosh, we were so worried about you. You okay? Everything fine? And it's like, yeah, it was perfect. So
that's awesome.
What a great example.
It was great.
Great example, because at that point, he, as a doctor, actually experienced what it feels like to be on the other side of someone who is projecting an outward mindset versus an inward mindset. Yes. Instead of expecting what you need to do for us and what you need to do to make my life easier as the person scheduling your appointment, it was completely disarming, like you said, because she was more focused on his needs,
right,
and concern about him. And it changes everything.
It changes everything, because if you are a team member that is so focused on what are the steps here, what am I supposed to, 15 minutes late, we're not going to have to, rather than how, and you should be empathetic. Sure. I mean, who knows what could have happened to that patient that was 15 minutes late?
No idea why they're late.
That's the appropriate emotion at this point.
Yeah, it is.
So those are the things that are important to talk about.
Well, great idea.
Well, it breaks my heart that our time has passed. It goes so fast, and I apologize for that. but Debbie, as we close, we always love to give our audience a little bit more personal introduction to you as a consultant. And so I've got a few questions for you, if you don't mind.
Of course not.
What is the #1 book, other than your own books, that you like to give away as a gift?
You know, I actually, to my doctors?
Nope, to anybody.
To anybody?
Yep.
Oh, because I've
a book that's impacted your life in a way that you just love to share it with other people.
Because now I'm going to change my mind a little bit. Something that oh gosh, this is an oldie but a goodie, but I talk about it all the time, is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. I talk about the quadrants, the time, the important versus not important. That's a great concept. So I love that. But Mark Cooper's Valuosity books, I like a lot, and I give them to doctors. But and another book that's been influential, it's called Girls Like Us, and I've been reading that book, and it's about Carly Simon, Joni Mitchell, and Carole King, and it's about how they grew at a certain age and became the women that they are and the successful women, and I love that book too.
Oh, nice.
It's a cool book.
I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
What is your #1 favorite recreational thing to unplug, to just de-stress, to find yourself again and clear, all the particles and get laser focused again?
Oh gosh, you know what this may sound kind of lightweight, but I love, love, love decorating. I mean, if I'm going to clear my mind, I'm going to walk and get creative, but I love making things beautiful.
Nice.
I do. So that's kind of like my thing.
That's fun. That's fun to know.
I love it.
Very cool. Favorite thing to drink?
Oh, geez. Oh, gosh. I was going to say, can you say Sauvignon Blanc this early in the morning?
Sure. Sure. It's noon on the East Coast, so it's 12:30 on the...
Even where you live.
I'm just right next to Napa Valley, so come on, what can I say?
Exactly.
But
that's
okay. Have a cup of coffee in the morning. Sorry.
That's okay. Perfect. Last question. Favorite destination of vacation? Either been there once and would go again, or a repetitive place you like to go?
Really, I've been a lot of places. We love to travel, but for me, there's nothing like being on the beach in Lake Tahoe. There is something about Tahoe that allows me to, it's the way that it smells, it's the beauty, it's everything about Tahoe is just perfection to me.
Emerald Bay.
Oh, isn't that beautiful? Gorgeous.
Oh, there's an energy there for sure.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Debbie, thank you so much for joining with us today. Such a privilege and pleasure. We'd love to have you back in the show because we barely just touched on the meat of the topics. But we want our audience to know today we have a very special offer for you. You can click on the video link below. And she's got 8 ebooks, you guys. I mean, this is a wealth of information. We can't just give you one. She's got 8. And so normally she sells those for $49.95, and we're giving a special for this week only that you can purchase one for $20. I would say buy a slew of them and give them to your team as gifts, your friends, your family. Debbie has built such an incredible wealth of personal things that, like she mentioned, some of these may feel lightweight, but I want to just re-emphasize how these are the things that separate the greats from the goods.
Yep.
And so, Joseph and Debbie, thank you again for your time with us today.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Debbie, for offering that.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. Thank you. We're here every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Always bringing you great guests, great hosts. Well, great hosts, of course, Joseph and myself. But we're here again to bring you knowledge, not only for you new doctors, but for those who have been in the profession to scale, to reach your dreams, to go for your moonshot so that your dreams can become reality. Thank you again for being in the Blue.